Hey everybody, ronarray here, and as you already know, Tier 4 Simulacrum is probably the hardest content in the game right now. A lot of people have been asking me about it, so in this video, I wanted to showcase the setup that I'm using to farm Simulacrum with my Nuke Wave Monk build. It's pretty easy if you will just improve your defenses. I farmed Tier 4 Simulacrum for some time, and it could be pretty easy with the right setup. I'm going to showcase all my skills, my items, and will give you a few very good tips which are going to help you significantly while farming Simulacrum and harder content overall. Let's go! So let's talk about the setup right now. I currently have around 9000 energy shield together with 71% evasion, without investing into single evasion item in my setup. And I also have a pretty good damage. My storm wave is around 182,000. However, for Simulacrum the setup should be a little different, and even if you have less damage, you still will be able to farm it. Let me start with the most important part and go to the least important. The first thing that we need to change. Usually we are running storm wave with ambush and heft. However, with the current setup, I think using rage instead of ambush is a pretty great idea, because ambush is not that useful in Simulacrum, it's harder to one-shot monsters, and we don't need heralds to proc, because heralds are not proccing in the Simulacrum. I also replaced heft with lightning infusion, which I took off from my herald of ice. Herald of ice is barely working in Simulacrum, so I recommend to just off it. That way you can run Storm Wave, Lightning Infusion, Martial Tempo, Primal Armament, Rage and Upheaval. On top of it, Cast on Shock is also not needed for anything except bosses, and I'm not using it in Simulacrum at all. Herald of Thunder still stays because I think it can provide pretty nice bonuses, especially for Simulacrum monsters. Running Inner Weight together with Long Shot and Blind is probably the best idea for Herald of Thunder. I'm still having Glaciation there, but it's barely helping because you can't freeze monsters properly in Simulacrum. On top of it, together with Storm Wave, since we are dropping Cast on Shock and Herald of Ice, we have a lot of additional Spirit. I'm running Green Fist together with Clarity and Blasphemy together with Temporal Chains, Ritualistic Curse, Infeeble and Magnified Effect. However, if you don't have enough Spirit, you can drop Blasphemy completely or run only one curse. If I would need to pick one, it should be Temporal Chains, because I think it will help significantly against monsters overwhelming you. So just drop Enfeeble in that case. I'm also running Wind Dancer, because Wind Dancer is helping a lot with evasion rating. Right here the support should be Unbreakable and Pin. Tempest Balance still in the build, but I'm not using it in the Simulacrum whatsoever, so you can drop it if you like it. And I'm using Blink together with Arcane Tempo, because Blink helping with the repositioning in some particular times. That's pretty much it for the skills, so the main change is just Rage instead of Ambush and Lightning Infusion for Storm Wave. I'm still using Upheaval, however, if you feel like you don't have enough attack speed, dropping Upheaval and replacing it with like Heft for example could be an option. So now let's talk about evasion and how I have 71% evasion without a single evasion item. I'm currently using Subterfuge Mask as an Anoid for my amulet. It provides 2 evasion rating per maximum energy shield on equipped helmet. And as you can see, it basically gives me most percentage of my evasion. My evasion without it is like 28%, but with amulet it's up to 71, which is absolutely amazing. I also picked the amulet without rarity, so just critical bonuses, mana, energy shield and Subterfuge Mask, just to farm Simulacrum. You can just rebuff Subterfuge in that case. And since Subterfuge providing evasion based on energy shield on your helmet, getting helmet with a lot of energy shield would be very helpful. I currently have a very basic one with a little critical hit chance. The rest of the build is staying the same. I'm using body armor with a very high energy shield, but if you have like 900, you will probably be just fine. I'm using the same boots. Hand of Wisdom in action with rarity. You don't really need the rarity in Simulacrum, and you can basically replace it. However, since I don't really want to invest even further and I can farm Simulacrums just fine like that, I kept my Hand of Wisdom in action exactly as I had them before. You probably already seen my weapon, it's been the same for the last few videos, so here it is. And I changed my rings to lightning damage to attacks and lightning damage in general, improving my damage overall. It's working very nice with Ingenuity if you can get higher percentage. On top of all of it, I also changed a few things in my tree. So basically, I picked all the points with evasion and maximum energy shield, so 3 here, 4 here. I picked immaterial because that way we could have much more evasion rating while we have energy shield, and I also picked 2 points for energy heal there. So very good those points. First off, I got rid of one of the river because I think it's less efficient compared to other options. I also dropped maiming strike completely and invested those points into those defensive nodes. And I also dropped 10 full attacks because I really feel like it's not really necessary. Since my mana with the rings are just enough, conservative casting is also not needed. However, if you still have mana issues, you can just pick conservative casting and repick any damaging nodes overall. So, for example, you can repick Careful Assassin. I'm running Careful Assassin again instead of Maiming Strike, mostly because Careful Assassin is helping us because we are currently not using Ambush. Since we can't freeze, I also dropped Thin Ice and I dropped Heavy Frost too. So instead of it, I invested into defenses, and that's the setup that we currently have. I'm also not using Unbound Avatar because it's not really necessary there. Instead, I'm just running I'm the Thunder and I'm the Blizzard, and it's working pretty good. However, if you need Avatar to kill bosses faster in the Simulacrum, you can drop I'm the Thunder and take Ice Shale Rage. It will work just fine. So that's my current setup. And since Subterfuge Mask is a little too far, I think getting into the amulet is probably the best idea, even if your damage will be lower after you will lose Storm Charged. I think for the current setup, it's probably the best, because in Simulacrum we just need to survive. Dying is not an option, and Subterfuge Mask is going to help us significantly, because together with 4 stacks of Wind Dancer, we can have up to 70% of basic evasion, together with almost 10k of energy shield, which is absolutely huge. I also don't have an open spirit except only 4, and my mana and mana regeneration are pretty high too. Another important part is how we are dealing with stuns. So I'm still running Sapphire Jewels with gain 10% of maximum energy shield as additional stun threshold. I think it's helping significantly in our current situation. I'm running about 6 of those and even up to 7 in some cases. So just having 7 of them will make my stun threshold very high because I have almost 10k energy shield. Together with 7 of those, our stun threshold will be based on 70% of our shield and it will be 7k. So it's very hard to stun my character. Freeze is still an issue, but against the freeze I'm just running the charm. If you feel like you are getting frozen too often, I remind you that you can perfectly run Icebreaker. Icebreaker will help you significantly, and after you invest 4 points you will never be frozen again in such situations. For the stun threshold, there was also an option to take a unique jewel right here, just for the big radius, and take Eldritch Will. However, I don't really think it's necessary, and jewels by itself are pretty much enough for me. So keep in mind that if your mana is not enough, you can get rid of Immaterial. It's not really providing that much evasion. As you can see, it's only like 2% generally, and without it I would still will be at 69. So if you need additional points to invest into mana, you can take it off there. You can take it off damage too if you feel like your damage is enough. Currently my damage is around 57% of critical hit chance and 841% of critical damage bonus. I would say if you are not using ambush, getting crit hit chance is pretty important, so that's exactly why I decided to run Careful Assassin. The rest of the build is pretty much staying the same. and blushing is not playing a big role. The biggest change right here that we will need for it is just running Subterfuge Mask for a lot of free evasion, even losing damage, and stacking as many little nodes for 12% evasion rating and 12% maximum energy shield as possible. I'm literally stacking them everywhere. A pretty common questions will be hybrid body armor be significantly better than just energy shield one, and right now I don't really think it's needed, because we already have a very high evasion just with Subterfuge Mask. That way, if you will replace body armor with like hybrid one, our evasion will not be significantly improved. We will get like 9 to 15% of additional evasion, which is nice but not amazing. In that case, if you will get it, I recommend to look into best stealth skin if you're running hybrid, and you can also add acrobatics for even better dodge if your evasion can handle it. However, just running Subterfuge Mask with a helmet around 500 energy shield or even 400 something will be more than enough for you to survive significantly better. And energy shield body armor will help you a lot with just stacking big energy shield. Having around 7 to 8k will probably be enough, because with a Green Fist you'll be around like 14k, which is a very big number. And damage is mostly boosted with the rings, with Hand of Wisdom in action, and with the pretty nice jewels. You can run like elemental damage, critical damage bonus, or even critical hit chance plus critical damage bonus on your jewels. Jewels are one of the most important part here because they're improving our damage significantly. And as I already mentioned, if you feel like you're too slow, you can literally drop upheaval and use Heft, for example, as the last support. You can also try to use, instead of Heft, Rising Tempest. It's providing pretty nice elemental damage bonus, and your mana will be the same. So as you can see, my DPS is rising significantly when I have upheaval out. However, I really feel like for clear in Simulacrum, upheaval is still pretty mandatory, so I'm running it in the most cases. If you also have a rage on one of your jewels, you can replace the rage with Rising Tempest to improving your damage in general. But keep in mind that Rising Tempest is not giving you any DPS right here, because you will need to hit. So when you're hitting, as you can see, the DPS going up, because you're using some particular elemental skill. However, running Rage so far been a pretty good approach for me. And Lightning Infusion, in my opinion, is pretty nice, it's providing a lot of damage, but if you feel like you want to do more cold, you can replace it with Rising Tempest too. But generally, I prefer Infusion because I think it's working pretty nice. And for Herald of Thunder, Blind I think helping pretty significantly with surviving, and Innervate here will improve the damage too, because we are killing monsters non-stop, and Innervate will be up almost in all cases, improving our damage and just making clear significantly easier. If you have issues with bosses, you can pretty much replace Blasphemy with Cast on Shock, so Eye of Winter, Deceleration, Impetus and Inspiration will stay the same. And if you just want to fix your mana, you can move the Inspiration from Cast on Shock to Storm Wave, making the mana cost very low, and that way, as you can see with Inspiration, I'm barely losing mana when I'm casting non-stop. Even if I will drop upheaval, I still will be able to cast just non-stop without a lot of issues. So most of those are just alternative setups, based on what you currently have with your builds. If you still will have questions or you'll need to have at least some kind of help with your setup and clearing it, you can always ask me on Twitch or YouTube streams. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope Simulacrums will drop something good for you. As you can see, we can run it perfectly with my build, and there's not a lot of issues. See you next time, ronarray out.